Good afternoon. Hope you all had a good lunch. Those tacos were delicious. All right. So I know you're here eagerly awaiting Representative Jamie Raskin. Right.
Wait.
So Representative Raskin was on his way here when he got called into the House for a vote on a continuing resolution that's right now being presented. And I think the Democrats are wanting to have some time to review the bill, which I think is just knowing what could be in that bill. So unfortunately, he is held up, and it is all Kevin McCarthy's fault. So just to be clear.
You're not supposed to say that from the pulpit.
This is not my pulpit.
Oh,
so
okay, good.
yeah, and we are talking. We're celebrating Unstoppable Stories,
That's
which is
right.
freedom of speech.
Yes.
And
Amen.
yeah. Anyway, we're in touch with his staff. Kathleen Connor, who is his field office director, has been keeping us updated. Jamie really wants to be here, and his latest was that even if he is able to come swing by, he would like to still do that. But we don't know what the time frame is with this bill and whether it'll be up for a vote or debate in any of those. But in case something shifts and he's able to, we may well see him a little later this afternoon. But for now, we're going to transition to doing something else, which Andrew Batcher will come forward and share with us. So thank you all for your patience. And well, that's Andrew. See? There you go. All right. Let's give it up. Andrew Batcher.
Fortunately, I am not going to suggest you all to an hour of interpretive dance. I know we're all disappointed. Settle down. No, we are actually going to do something really unique and creative. Actually, I think really groundbreaking. We talked a little bit about, we talked earlier today with the ministers, right, about leaning into discomfort, about new experiences that we haven't had before. So we're going to give folks a new experience. Are you ready? Are you ready for a new potential new experience? All right. So we're actually going to do a drag story time here in the sanctuary for everybody. You can see what it's like. You can see what happens. You're going to hear some great stories. And I think, should I just introduce folks, let them out? Do you want to say a few words, Amanda? Amanda's going to say a few words. We pivot, you know.
We, in fact, do pivot. And you should have seen me this morning in my cute outfit that was all put together. I have pivoted into this since this morning. But you know what? My outfit does not need to be anything because their outfits are all of that. So before they come out, I'm going to need y'all to get a little bit more hype. I'm going to need y'all to get some energy. I'm going to need y'all to build this for our guests that are coming today to help us pivot. They were already going to be here, and we're just moving up the drag story hour by just a little bit. So I want to go ahead and bring them out to the floor. Ladies, they got a lot of fans back there. I want to introduce Hazel. They're getting pictures. I want to bring out Hazel. and VV Majesty for today's drag story hour. Take it away.
Alrighty, how are we doing today? Now, I know it's kind of
Amazing, thank
shocking
you.
to see such a gorgeous woman with a deep voice, but you know what? Nowadays, some of the most gorgeous women have the deepest of voices, okay? Now, first of all, I want to thank you all so much for having us, especially during such times, you know, where it seems like a lot of disorder and chaos out there, but you know what? Believe it or not, what we do here, the way we express ourselves, that is in a way that is true to our authentic self, and all of this support, it's what keeps the world going round, you know, love. There's a lot of darkness, there's a lot of hatred, but it sounds a little cliche, but love has won in the past, love is winning now, and love will continue to win. So my name is VV Majesty,
And I'm Hazel.
and we were invited today so we can talk a little bit about, you know, ourselves, about our you know, what we do, why we do it, and we're gonna read you some lovely stories. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on reading one of the stories. This one is called Black is a Rainbow. All right. So I'm just gonna read the summary of it to begin with, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get into the story. My color is black. A child reflects on the meaning of being black in this moving and powerful anthem about a people, a culture, a history, and a legacy that lives on. From the wheels of a bicycle on the robe of a Thurgood Marshall's back, black surrounds our lives and works both as a color and as a thought-provoking sentiment about the incredible people who help change the world and a community that continues to grow and thrive. Stunningly illustrated by Caldecott honoree and Coretta Scott King's award winner, Yuka Holmes, Black is a Rainbow color is a sweeping celebration told through debut author Angela Joyce rhythmically captivating and unforgettable words. So without further ado, black is a rainbow color. Red is a rainbow color. Green sits next to blue. Yellow, orange, violet, indigo, they are colors too. But my color is black. And there's no black in rainbows. Black is a crayon, tangled in a box. Black is a feather on white winter snow. Black is the dirt where sunflowers grow. My color is black. Black are the braids in my best friend's hair. Black are the bottoms of summertime feet. Black are soft circles that spin down the street. My color is black. Black is a rhythm. Black is the blues. Black is sidewalking in spits shine shoes. Black is the robe on Thurgood's back. Black are the trains on railroad tracks. Blacks are the eyes on salted peas. Black are the shadows of old magnolia trees. Black is molasses from tall sugar cane. Black is soft singing, hush now, don't explain. Black is the skillet for bread to fry. Black are dreams and raisins left out in the sun to die. Black is the color of ink staining page. Black is the mask that shelters his rage. Black are the birds in cages that sing. Black is a color. Black is a culture. Black is history. Black is family. Black is memory. Black is community. Black is the love that lives inside of me. My color is black. Black are the stones bearing witness to prayer. Black is the faith in a freedom not seen. Black was the man who gave the world his dream. Black is a color. Black is a culture. Black is the heart of a candle in flame. Black is the power of movement in pain. Black are the branches that carry my name, weaving, wrapping, lifting, laughing, hoping, grasping, quiet, and strong. Our color is black. So you see, there is no black in rainbow, no black in green or blue, but in my box of crayons, black is a rainbow too. Thank you. So that was a very, very beautiful story, very beautiful short story. And just as the theme of, everything that's happening today is, it's about inclusion, it's about understanding each other, our differences. Again, with another cliche, but, skin color is really one of the very, very minimal things that divides us as human beings. And unfortunately, there's still a lot of things that we deal with, we face with, especially, like I said earlier, in today's current political climate, right? But just understanding each other, understanding each other's humanity, each other's differences is what kind of unites us essentially in the future. All of these differences are very superficial. They're very two-dimensional. They're very shallow. Ultimately, we're all on this earth trying to be the best people that we can be, and it's always been divide and conquer, right? So allowing these differences between us, such as race, gender identity, whatever it may be, these two-dimensional differences, they will never hold weight to the heart that we all share and our desire to connect with each other. So, literature like this is so important for us to be able to understand each other's experiences. The banning of books is absolutely horrid because we have to be able to understand other people and their experiences, their walk of lives, that we could potentially never put ourselves in their shoes unless we have other perspectives. Things like this is so important for especially children from a young age to understand, to love one another. So, thank you, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to Hazel.
That was so well said. Like when you talked about the weight of the heart, I was like, dang, true. All right. I'm gonna read "'Twas the Night Before Pride." Did anybody go to Pride this year? Nice, few people, okay. I did not make it to Baltimore Pride. I decided to sleep instead.
We like sleep.
I was very booked, and I was like, it's raining, and I'm gonna stay in bed. But I did get to read this, and then it made me sad that I missed Pride, but it's okay. "'Twas the night before Pride, a warm evening in June. All the people got ready with the rise of the moon. The drag queens all brushed their wigs with great care, and the bikers checked their tires to make sure they had air. All across the city, people's outfits were planned and instruments polished for the queer marching band." Phoebe, that's you.
Oh my God, it is me. Just missing the wings.
Exactly. "My mom told us all we should go to bed early. She's the kind of mom who's more boyish than girly. While Mama finished packing our snacks in a bag, Sammy started chewing on the edge of our flag." That's him right there, chewing. "As I finished my sign, which I laid on the floor, I remember the prides I'd been to before. All day we will walk in the streets up and down. Pride's one of the best celebrations around." Agreed. "There are floats and loud music and rainbows and glitter. Last year we ran into our babysitter. Tomorrow will be baby Sammy's first Pride. Can we tell the whole story?" I hopefully cried. So we sat on the couch, a mom on each side, and took turns telling the tale of the very first Pride. "A long time ago, in 1969, there wasn't a Pride March. It was a less fair time. Queer people all over, of each shape and size, didn't have any rights recognized. So much of their lives they had to keep hidden. Even their clothing was sometimes forbidden. Stonewall was a place where it was safe to be proud, but police would storm in to say that wasn't allowed. So one hot night in June, people stopped being quiet. They decided to fight and started a riot. More and more gathered to fight back in the heat. Some started a kick line in the middle of the street. Police broke up the crowd night after night, but the people stood strong knowing this wasn't right. And so it began a march that spread worldwide to show everyone it's good to have pride. It sometimes happens we're not given respect. It can take a long time for some to accept. That's why every year we all get together and march in the streets no matter the weather. To know that we matter, to show all that we exist, that any oppression we must always resist. So Pride's not just about tutus and rainbow suspenders, it's about rights for queers and all our beautiful genders. Pride's a day that is crowded, it's a day that is long, it's a day that means together we are strong. As I closed my eyes, I thought of Pride's past. Pride means to me, being yourself is a blast. So tomorrow I will march with my family and cheer. Happy Pride to all, it's great my family is here. Touching on what Vivi said about how banned books, obviously it's not right. Maybe you're in a community where there's not a lot of queer people, there's not a lot of trans people. If you don't have access to literature, there's not really a way to get the education that you need. It is very inappropriate to ask a lot of trans people certain questions, but if you have questions, like there are books, there is the internet, and if we are censoring those things, you are not getting the education you need to move forward to be accepting. I grew up in a community that was definitely not accepting at all, and now I am an out, proud, queer, non-binary person. I've been doing drag for about 5 years. I've won a few awards for it. This is like my favorite thing to do in the entire world. And I learned about like queerness and like transness from books. So imagining the books that I read that helped me accept myself being banned is pretty upsetting. So festivals and stuff like this, like just standing up for like what's right and that we're not gonna like sit down and like let people, oppress minorities is really important.
And I'm gonna follow up with that because Hazel just said something very important. It's like, for me, I grew up in Latinx culture, right? And with Latinx culture, I was born in Central America, and then I came here when I was like 7 years old, right? And for the longest time, I kind of rejected this part of me, the gorgeous princess woman you see in front of you. I neglected this aspect of me because I honestly did not have any examples, whether literature, whether on television, whatever it may be, I did not have any examples to follow when I was a child. So for me, I spent the longest time thinking there was something wrong with me. And it's a very hard existential struggle to be born into a society, right? And you feel like a freak. You feel like, why am I feeling this way? And why is there no books? Why is there no TV shows that are showing me that it's okay to be, who I am? I feel like, especially with the drag story controversy that's happened recently, there's been this narrative of, we're trying to indoctrinate people into being queer. We're trying to create new queer people, but that is simply not the case. People are going to be queer regardless of anything. You know what I mean? If anything, if queer history shows us anything, it just makes us better at hiding it. And we absolutely don't want people who are better at hiding it. We want people that are freely themselves, authentically themselves. Now, for me, the personal journey of getting there was definitely a struggle because, like I said, I didn't have these books. I didn't have anybody on television just with their mere existence, letting me know that it was okay. And that's why I stand here in front of you as this gorgeous Latina diva, because I made it to that point, right? And I'm not trying to tell somebody you have to be gay, you have to be gay. It's more like, it's okay. It's okay to express yourself like this. It's okay to see the world a little bit more colorful, and it's okay to wear high heels if you're a boy, and it's okay to be a tomboy if you're a girl, Just by us putting ourselves out there like this, it's not to create more. There's no gay agenda trying to spread.
There is a gay agenda. Everyone wear more glitter, please.
Yeah. There you go. That's the gay agenda.
That's the real gay agenda.
But no, yeah, it's certainly been, especially for me, been such a frustrating experience to see the media belittle and kind of completely change the narrative around why we do what we do. Because for me, I do this because I wish there was a gorgeous Latina diva princess like me who told me it was okay to be myself growing up, and I would have saved myself years of angst and, what's wrong with me and I can't be doing this. No, and honestly, as a child, you should be worried about play. You should be worried about just being yourself and not have to go through these existential crises, why do I like boys? Why do I like girls? Was I born in the wrong? That's not how it should be, We should just be allowed to just explore sexuality, explore gender without really any outside forces telling us that it's wrong, because we are going to be who we are regardless of anything, but if anything, we can make it a lot easier for future generations of queer children to get to a point of true authenticity without all the hassle. So,
Also touching base on that, because I have a thought. Visibility is very much suicide prevention for adults and young youth as well. Like you said, I can only imagine how I would have felt if I saw somebody like me, like Vivi, from a young age. It's like one of those things where they say like, oh, if you're pushing in someone's face, they're gonna like become that. I was around all straight media as a child. I am not straight. And I knew that from like the age of 5. So like, it just comes to terms with like, when you see people that look like you, that act like you, like from a young age, like I didn't come out as queer until I was 22, I'm 29. I didn't come out as non-binary until I was 27. I didn't come out as trans-masc until last year. Like these are all things that like, if they were normalized from a young age, I would have had a lot less worry. I would have had a lot less hospital stays with my mental health. This kind of stuff really just shows kids and educates their parents that like, if you have a queer child, it is okay. There are ways to navigate it, to be supportive. Every parent can make their own decision for their child for sure, but at least like we're here to like help you, support you, and give you guys the education to like how to navigate that.
Alrighty, now, moving right along to our next story that I'm going to read. This is called Love in the Library. Now I'm going to read the summary before I get into it. Tama works in the library at the Minidoka incarceration camp, where she has been imprisoned because she is Japanese American. Life in the Idaho camp is relentless, and getting through each day is hard. Tama refers to escape into her books, with her stories of horror and adventure. But every day, George is there too. With a smile, yet another stack of books and his comforting presence. It is George who helps Tama understand that she isn't alone, and in that realization, hope is found. All right, Love in the Library. Tama did not like the desert. She brushed the dust from her eyes as she walked to the library. The barbed wire fences and guard towers cast long shadows over her path. She always did her best to look at the guards. Tama had taken the job in the library because she liked books. She didn't know how to be a librarian, but that didn't matter. In the camps, people did the jobs that needed doing, and that was that. "Good morning, Tama," a voice boomed. It was George. Like every other day, George was waiting at the door for Tama with a stack of books he'd checked out only the day before. "Good morning, George," Tama replied. He waited for her to unlock the library, and then he followed her inside. Tama and George had been in Minidoka for a year already. She should have graduated college the previous summer, but instead, Tama was here. All the Japanese Americans from the West Coast were in prison camps like Minidoka. Elderly people, children, babies. It didn't matter who you were, what you were, and being Japanese American was treated like a crime. And though each camp was different, they were all the same, uncomfortable and unjust. In the summer, it was brutally hot. In the winter, it was brutally cold. Rain in the fall and spring left mud around the latrines they all needed to use. Whole families shared single rooms. No one had any privacy. Tama did not know that when she would live Minidoka, if she ever would, but there was nothing to be done about that. So she worked in the library, and each day passed her by. Other days, especially when it snowed, hardly anyone would brave the cold just for a book, but most days were the same. Tama kept her eyes down and tried not to think about the life she used to have. There is a word that described this. Tama knew. Constant. But then there was also George. George and his smile were big constants. And the books were constant company, which was nice. Tama loved books. Caught in their pages were worlds bursting with color and light, love and fairness. Pressed between the covers were words that planted seeds in the gardens of Tama's mind. How magical that, even in Minidoka, such a small library could fit so much inside 4 walls. Tama kept the word for that. Tama kept the word for that too, nestled close to her heart. Miraculous, she whispered. What was that? Asked George. His voice was so big it barely fit the library. Tama blushed. Then she held her finger to remind him of the rules. They were in a library after all. George just went on grinning to her. Tama wanted to smile back. She tried to focus on the things that made her smile. The boys outside hollering and cheering as they played baseball, the books themselves and the smell of their pages. But she could not make herself smile. She sighed. What's wrong? George asked. Oh, nothing, or everything, Tama said. She did not need to tell him what she meant. He knew. Everyone in Minidoka knew. I try not to complain. I know this isn't fair, but I also there's nothing to be done. I try not to be afraid, but I'm just so. But she could not think of a word that was right. She was scared and sad and confused and frustrated and lonely and hopeless. Maybe there was no word for that fit. Maybe there was no word that fit. Maybe for the first time in her life, there was no single word she could hold in her heart to help her understand. And that thought was so sad to Tama, so upsetting that she felt the hot prickle of tears behind her eyes. Hey, George said, and for once his voice was small and soft. There's a word for that, you know? There is? Hope bubbled so big and bold in Tama's heart. Human, George said. He smiled his big smile, and Tama smiled back. She wiped her eyes. She held the word close to her heart. She held the word close to her heart and felt less alone than she had only a moment before. You can't possibly be reading all the books you check out, she said. No, he replied. Do you see how big they are? I'm only human, you know. So then, why come every day? She laughed. But George was not laughing. It was her, Tama. They were married, Tama and George, and their first son was born in Minidoka. They hoped for the best. Their love for the family they made was constant, and even if the injustice their family was created within was constant too. To fall in love is already a gift, but to fall in love in a place like Minidoka, a place built to make people feel like they weren't human, that was miraculous. That was humans doing what humans do best. The miracle is in us, Tama wrote in her journal. As long as we believe in change, in beauty, and in hope. That miracle is hard to find sometimes, but it is within all of us. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Now,
Dang.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I picked these books out right before, so I wasn't really prepared to what was coming within this book, but that ending was so beautiful, I'm just like, oh my goodness, let me. Now, I do really like that this book is something that I ended up reading because there's 2 things that I want to talk about here, right? Like the historical significance that is having documentation of what has happened in the past, right? Because that's where we learn from our mistakes. And it's kind of ironic that they're banning books now because, Fahrenheit, I don't know if you're all familiar with Fahrenheit 451, that's very dystopian, that's very Big Brother, let's burn books, let's keep people ignorant, which is essentially what is kind of going on, maybe to a smaller scale, or maybe we're at the cusp of something like that happening, right? Because once you begin to censor other people's experiences, things from the past, that's when those mistakes get repeated. And sometimes they're repeated not because we haven't learned from them, but because they've worked to oppress people in the past. So that's what essentially we're trying to avoid here. And I love that this book touched on, again, the humanity aspect of it all. Because ultimately, we're all thrown into this earth. We're like, what the heck's going on? We kind of just have to figure it out. You know what I mean? So, like the book says in the end, we all have that inside of all of us, and if I've learned anything from, being around people, being a person, and especially queer history, any person of color, any history really, is that humanity finds a way, and I have no doubt that during these uncertain times, us as a collective human, we will find that beauty, we will work through the pain, and we will make it. So thank you so much, and I'm gonna pass it over to Hazel.
I want to put you like in a box, and then when I'm feeling really pessimistic, just like open it and have you say like the beautiful things you're saying
A
today.
BB in a box.
A big box should be fit with that skirt. All right, I'm gonna read And Tango Makes Three. In the middle of New York City, there is a great big park called Central Park. Children love to play there. It has a toy boat pond where they can sail their boats. It has a carousel to ride on in the summer and an ice rink to skate on in the winter. Best of all, it has its very own zoo. Every day, families of all kinds go to visit the animals that live there. But the children and their parents aren't the only families at the zoo. The animals make families of their own. There is a red panda bear family with mothers and fathers and furry red panda bear cubs. There are monkey dads and monkey moms raising noisy monkey babies. There are toad families and toucan families and cotton-top tamarin families too. That's them. They're a kind of monkey. And in the penguin house, there are penguin families. Every year at the very same time, the girl penguins start noticing the boy penguins. And the boy penguins start noticing the girls. And when the right girl and the right boy find each other, they become a couple. Two penguins in the penguin house were a little bit different. One was named Roy and one was named Silo. Roy and Silo were both boys, but they did everything together. They bowed together and walked together. They sang together and swam together. Wherever Roy went, Silo went too. They didn't spend much time with the girl penguins, and the girl penguins didn't spend much time with them. Instead, Roy and Silo wound their necks around each other, and their keeper, Mr. Gramsay, noticed the two penguins and thought to himself, they must be in love. Aww. I know, plot twist. Roy and Silo watched how the other penguins made a home, so they built a nest of stones for themselves. Every night, Roy and Silo slept there together, just like all the other penguin couples. And every morning, Roy and Silo woke up together. But one day, Roy and Silo saw that the other couples could do something they could not. The mama penguin would lay an egg. She and the papa penguin would take turns keeping the egg warm until finally it would hatch. And then there would be a baby penguin. And if you can't see this, please see me after. They are very cute. Roy and Silo had no egg to sit on and keep warm. They had no baby chick to feed and cuddle and love. Their nest was nice, but it was a little empty. One day, Roy found something that looked like what the other penguins were hatching, and he brought it to their nest. It was only a rock, but Silo carefully sat on it, and sat, and sat. When Silo got sleepy, he slept, and when Silo was done sleeping and sitting, he swam, and Roy sat. Day after day, Silo and Roy sat on the rock, but nothing happened. Then Mr. Gramsay had an idea. He found an egg that needed to be cared for, and he brought it to Roy and Silo's nest. Roy and Silo knew just what to do. They moved the egg to the center of their nest. Every day they turned it so each side stayed warm. Some days Roy sat on the egg while Silo went for food, and other days it was Silo's turn to take care of the egg. They sat in the morning and they sat at night. They sat through lunchtime and swim time and supper. They sat at the beginning of the month, and they sat at the end of the month, and they sat all of the days in between. It's too much sin. One day, they heard a sound coming from inside their egg. Peep, 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 it said. Roy and Silo called back, oh my God, Squawk, squawk. Peep, peep, answered the egg. Suddenly, a tiny hole appeared in the egg shell, and then, crack! Again, cutest baby penguin. Out came their very own baby. She had fuzzy white feathers and a funny black beak. Now Roy and Silo were fathers. We'll call her Tango, Mr. Gramsci decided, because it takes two to take a tango. Roy and Silo taught Tango how to sing for them when she was hungry. They fed her food from their beaks, and they snuggled her in the nest at night. Tango was the very first penguin at the zoo to have two dads. Soon, Tango grew strong enough to leave the nest. Roy and Silo took her for a swim, just like all the other penguin families. And all the children who came to the zoo could see Tango and her two fathers playing in the penguin house with the other penguins. Hooray, Roy! Hooray, Silo called Tango. Welcome, Tango, they cheered. At night, the three penguins returned to their nest. There, they snuggled together, and like all the other penguins in the penguin house, and all of the other animals in the zoo, and all of the families in the big city around them, they went to sleep. The end. That was so cute.
That was very cute, yeah.
Is that it?
I guess that's a wrap, folks.
Thank you for coming.
And just one last little exercise before we go, just to like wrap it all up. Okay, we've been talking a lot about beauty, love, humanity, all these things, penguins. So before we go, on the count of three, if I could just have everybody say the word love. Let's get some love going in this room, just because it's it might even feel a little bit silly, but it is. We need those verbal reminders that, especially during uncertain times, that it's still here and it's still fighting to connect us all, against everything that's going on. So on the count of three, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Love!
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure. We're going to be around in case you want to take some pictures. So please come say hi. And we'll see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and a round of applause. Thank you so much, Vivi. And I expect that Andrew will have some updates for us soon, but in the meantime, feel free to mingle and get your books, buy your band books, and just interact with the space.
Everybody, hi. So thank you all for being here. And for listening to the stories and the storytellers who I think do amazing work. And amazing work like teaching good lessons to kids, right? Both through the stories they tell and through how they tell them. So I think we don't have an update currently for Congressman Raskin, unless David has heard anything new. He's checking CNN. Reverend Abi has the inside scoop, but he has not given us an update.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk?
Yeah. I've been checking CNN, and they had a motion to adjourn so the Democrats could. I'm not going to be up here forever. Where are you going? Okay, all right. So the Democrats could read the bill, and they rejected the motion to adjourn. So Hakeem Jeffries now is just talking on the floor. That's the update from CNN. You all could look at that on your phones as well. But anyway, I would not have a lot of hope that he'll be here. I would not have a lot of hope. But you can come tomorrow to Virginia and listen to Eileen Fillercorn. Yes, that's right. 10 o'clock services. I'll be preaching. May not be exciting for people, I don't know. And tomorrow, Eileen Fillercorn, the first Jewish woman ever to be Speaker of the House of Delegates in Virginia, will be our keynote speaker tomorrow. And I've stretched so Andrew could come back. We learned how to pivot during the pandemic. We're still doing it.
It's just one long, constant pivot. So I am here for two reasons. One, I'm going to pick the raffle. I'm going to pick the raffle winner. And two, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We're going to have workshops that will happen after this is done. We'll do the workshops at like 1:50, I think. And I'll. Oh, another ticket. Thank you. We'll do the workshops at 1:50, and they are upstairs. When we organize, we win. With Virginia Red, Wine, and Blue, they're great folks who do community organizers and counter Moms for Liberty, and it's all about building relationships and building momentum. Also upstairs, JP Derbogosian, who spoke earlier in the Fiat Falva room, is going to do Fighting for Our Queer Rights to Write. JP is a great speaker. Some of you may have seen him earlier. And then downstairs in room 32, we're going to do Comedy for Change with Grassroots Comedy. I'm super excited about these. I think they're all going to be great, and I hope that you can stay for those. And now, we're going to pick the winners of the gift bag. All right. Steve Hartman. Steve Hartman. Is Steve Hartman around? He left? Okay, we'll get it to him. And there's also a runner-up prize, so I'm going to pick that out now. Karen Wolf. Karen Wolf. They have both left, but they're going to get their stuff. Thank you all for waiting to hear their names. Now, again, to close out the day, we have, please purchase at loyalty bookstores. You can pick up a flyer about the Little Free Library action, the social media action. Also, talk a little with our sponsors, and feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think that's good for now. And good to see you. And yeah, please head out to the workshops. Thank you.